Hey, and welcome to this week's episode of the Being Podcast. I am your host, Jada. I am so happy to have you here with me today for us to be together for another week as we dive into another topic that is near and dear to my heart, and I am going to bet that it is near and dear to yours as well. But before we jump on in, remember this is a safe space that I've created. I wanted to have a space where we could come and we could talk and we could fellowship and we could just lean on each other. And I also wanted it to be, a place where we think about and tweak, if we need to, how we believe, engage, innovate, navigate, and gain. Yes, how we are being in every area of our lives. So welcome. I'm excited to have you here, and I am going to jump on in to this week's episode, which for me is all about betting on yourself. This is important because I am definitely the type of person who I have dreams, I have goals, I can sit down and plan it out. It makes sense to me, but then I feel like, okay, let me run it by everybody. Let me make sure that someone else can validate me to make sure that I am making sense with everything that it is that internally makes sense to me, right? So I'm running it by everybody, trying to get their buy-in, trying to make sure that, their validation of the goal I have makes sense and can succeed, because I am very type A and I am very risk adverse. And so I like to bet on the sure thing if I'm going to bet, which is really not my thing. So that's kind of how I've lived my life, right? So it's like, okay, let me make sure I apply for the school I can get into. Let me make sure that I go into a major that feels good for me. Let me make sure I do the things that are calculated, and that while, yes, they brought a sense of excitement in a sense, it was still something that I was sure that I could do. But I'm saying all of that to say, a lot of the times that I look back and think about how I have approached things, I've tried to be so careful, and I've tried to, instead of thinking of me and betting on myself, I'm looking for that validation from someone else. And I promise you, not even to just like, oh, it didn't work, so let me blame, my mom or my dad or whoever gave me the advice. It wasn't that. It was just, I just wanted to feel more sure in it. But as I've gotten older, at this ripe new age of 42 that I'm still trying on and getting used to, no, I've embraced it. It's all good. I'm just understanding that, like my picture says, perfect is boring, because I lived in this, I got to be perfect. I don't want to make mistakes, which also held me up in my decisions. Like my shirt says, perfectly imperfect. I am okay with being that, because as my husband has taught me, and as I am shifting my mindset and even how I want to pour into my babies, there's no failure. We just learn from things that don't quite go the way we want them to go the first time, right? There's nothing wrong with that. And actually, there's probably, here's an example. So I competed for the title of Miss Texas years ago. And let me tell you, your girl was old when she decided to enter. And I remember being at the University of Houston, and they had a special on, and it was like USA contestants and Miss America contestants. And so they were just talking about the pageant experience. And I'm sitting there in my dorm room, and I'm like, I can do that. So I am going to graduate. I'm going to move home with my parents, and I'm not looking for a job. I'm going to do pageants. And what I didn't understand is that in order on the Miss America side, not only did I have to have a talent, which, right? Not only did I have to have a talent, I also had to have, a platform, which I love, and I still use. And if you haven't checked out my TEDx talk, I actually came full circle with that to kind of hone back into that. And that's going to take off here soon too. I'm claiming that and putting that out there. But also, to go to the state pageant, you had to win a local pageant, right? So my first year, and y'all, I could only compete 2 years because you age out at 24. So I was old, inexperienced, but I saw something and I was like, I can do it. I was betting on myself. Here we go. So my first pageant, I bombed. I forgot, I did a monologue and forgot the words, whatever. Didn't place. Did my second one, didn't place. Go on to the third and fourth, I was, I think, second runner up. The next two, I was first runner up, so that's sixth at that point. And then on my seventh one at the Runners Up pageant, I won. So my first year, I win the seventh pageant that I went to, and I go and I compete and I make top 20, and it was super exciting because here I am not knowing, but learning and having mentors and people that I could lean on who saw something in me and then gave me that confidence in which I was able to show up and compete. So I was excited. And then the next year, y'all, first pageant out the gate, boom, won. So I'm getting to a point. So the point is the first year having to go through all of the competition, right? So I'm having to do my talent, and I'm having to do swimsuit, and I'm having to do evening gown, and I'm having to do on stage question. I'm having to do, interview, having to do that time after time after time only helped me to hone that and to make it better. So when it came time for me to be crowned, I was more polished than the first time. Whereas like my second year in, right? So I win the first pageant out the gate, which was wonderful, right? Because I get my crown and I'm going on. But then it was like I had to work harder at making sure I put the time in. So that is to say, if you've tried something once, if you've tried something twice, I don't care how many times you've tried it, keep going. If there is something that has been in your heart, on your mind, and you haven't quite made it to the level you believe it needs to be at or it can be at, keep going. Keep betting on yourself. Keep leaning into the people who can help you. Because, as I always say, we're better together than we are apart. So betting on yourself can be whether it's, a hobby, it can be any undertaking. Shoot, it can be parenting, right? Like you go into it thinking they're going to be so beautiful and they're going to smell so good, and like, if you're like me, they're still waking you up and you're just like, what can I tweak to try to make it better for the next day, right? So even with my babies now, I'm like, all right, you're going from the car seat to the kitchen table seat, and we're eating, and then we're bathing, and then we're going to have a little downtime. I'm turning the lights down low so that we can unwind, right? So I'm just trying to learn the things so that I can get to the end state that I want. And I'm leaning into my mama friends and trying to ask them, like, do you have any tips or skill sets or anything that maybe I can possibly use? Or reading articles or podcasts or whatever it is. Finding the resources and trying the thing that will help you to achieve your success. But I think that a lot of times, and this is what I was saying, for me and possibly for you, it's hard to bet on ourselves. And why is that? The main reason I would venture to say is because we have limiting mindset beliefs. Whether it's a spirit, an evil spirit, whether it's jealousy that comes up in somebody else. For a while, I'll be honest with you, I felt that that even though I was trying to bet on myself, even though I could see that, yes, all of these things that I've been blessed to have experienced in my life, I know I can pour into and I can help somebody else and also help my family. I could see that, but my husband couldn't. And I oftentimes felt like the things that he would voice were fears that were trying to be planted to me. And like, because I wasn't going to receive them, they were going through someone close to me. So the limiting mindset beliefs, they can be your personal ones, right? Like, been there before too. Like, who am I to coach anybody? Who am I to help anybody? What do I have that validates that Jada can teach anybody anything? And I've had to overcome that. Now, I will tell you, because I was in that, I did go there. I have received a lot of training. I have received certificates that have certified me to do certain things, which I will get into in other episodes coming up soon, I promise, such as the emotional freedom tapping or technique, which is tapping, whether understanding, how our minds work during NLP, excuse me. Let me slow down to go fast. But how our logical system works, right? Like our programming, the things that we've experienced in the past and what we've gone through and how that impacts our thoughts and how we then move out in our actions. I've been certified in all that, hypnotherapy, all the things that, yes, I do know that I have that, and I can pour that into anybody that is willing to allow me to do that to help them to reach their goal. But did I necessarily need it to be able to help somebody? I would say no. But does it make me feel better? I will say yes, right? To know that I do have things that I have empowered myself, to be able to help someone else in ways that they may not even know that they need help. So if that is you, I'm your girl. Drop me a note. We can talk about it. Don't be afraid of that. And we're going to talk about taboos and that sort of stuff too, right? Like the therapy and the IVF and anything else, right? That is taboo for our culture. But learning those things definitely did help me to feel more grounded in what I have to offer, but it didn't mean that I necessarily needed that to be able to help somebody else. I just needed to have that courage and that belief in myself that, yes, Jada, your pageant experiences, your military experiences, going to school, undergrad, and even, pledging your sorority, or, then going to my officer basic course and doing all of those things that taught me leadership skills. Like all of those things have made me who I am. And now even becoming a wife and becoming a mother and being all the things that I talk about all the time, right? All of those things have helped me to be that, but it's also encouraged me and inspired me to pour that into somebody else, because I know somebody out here will listen and they'll be like, you know what? If she can do it, I can do it. I was working in Birmingham and I moved there from Texas, me and my 2 dogs at the time, and I was an aide de camp for a general. And in the process of doing that and knowing that I was an extension of him, because my daddy was like drilling that into my head, right? Which helped because it helped me to focus on that task. But even during all of that, I was working on my MBA. And these are not to brag. These are just to show you that if there is anything that you want to do, you can do it. And yes, it is incredible to have the community of support behind you, which, I have my community. I brag on them. I'll keep bragging on them. They're amazing. They help me with not only myself, but my babies and my home and all of the things, right? So community is super important, and to have that support system, especially those that are around you, you need it, right? I mean, it just only helps you to continue to do what you need to do, but you have to start with yourself. So I'll go back to last week, like, girl, lady, friend, warrior woman, who are you? What do you desire? What's in your heart? And then it's about, how are you betting on yourself? What are the steps you're taking to make sure that you reach those goals? It may be like me to take a course. It may be like me to get a coach. It may be like me to find your voice and communicate your needs and your wants and your desires to those around you so that they can help you to reach them, because you're going to turn around and use that to pour into them and everybody else around you. So, betting on yourself. I'll go as far to say, I bet you already have a lot of this inside of you. You just need someone to help pull it out of you. I get it. Been there and done that too. I have my core group of friends that keep me honest, that, show me when I'm slacking a little bit, but they also build me up and say, hey, Jada, why didn't you talk about that? It's not that you're bragging, but why are you not sharing that? Because that could be helping somebody else. So when you're betting on yourself, I want you to also understand that sharing your story could be helping the next person behind you, can be helping to build the community that you're in, could be helping to save a generation, because we don't know who's watching us. We don't know who's listening to us, but we do know who we can impact, and you can plant that seed and then help them learn how to water it and grow it, right? Teach a man how to fish so that they can continue to grow and then bet on themselves. And then that is going to only empower you to do even more and to really believe in yourself. So yes, we are betting on ourselves in 2023 and onward. So, what is it that you want? What are your goals? What are your aspirations? What are the dreams you may have let go of that you can still get after and get after? And if you're like me, you have babies that are watching everything and listening to everything you say. So how are you being the example for them? Right? So I challenge you this week to just take some time, and maybe it's a continuation from last week, to just continue to think about who you are at your core. And not only who you are, but what it is that you want. And then start thinking about, how do I map that out? How does that look? What do I need? What are the resources I need to get me from, hey, I'm over here doing my vision board, to getting to, I'm living my visions? Is that getting a coach? Is that having someone to be your cheerleader, to say, you got it? Yeah, I know you don't want to get up and do it, but you got it. Or to check in on you. And that's what I'm here for too. I'm here every week. I'm holding myself accountable to that, because I definitely enjoy this time and this space, but to encourage you. But if you even want more than that, let me know. I have resources. I know people. We can connect this and we can get you where you want to be. All right, we're betting on ourselves. We're going to be perfectly imperfect, how I have been taught by so many different people, right? Like, take that imperfect action. That is okay, as long as you're making those steps forward. And that's what it's about, because I do truly believe that it's the small steps that are going to lead to big changes. The small wins will lead to, like, the overall success of what it is that you're trying to reach. And I also understand that it's difficult at times. Like, life gets in the way. I will tell you, and you can probably hear it in my voice a little bit, I have not felt the greatest the past couple of weeks. And it doesn't stop me, but I'm having to learn to listen to myself. I'm having to learn to lean into my support group more. But I'm also learning to take that and turn it upside down and use it for positive gains, not just for me, but for you and for my community and my environment. Because again, we have the power to choose. We have the power to take that and to make things better. And that's what I'm really here to do, and to encourage. And I challenge you to do the same thing for yourself and for your people. So I talked about a little bit about investments and returns. I'm really big on ROI. What is the return on the investment of your time, of your money, of your energy, of your emotions? Like, are you pouring into somebody and they're not pouring back into you, and then you're finding yourself frustrated? Do you need to have someone to pour back into you so you can see your self-worth? It happens. We are all there, and there's nothing wrong with that. But baby girl, you can get back on track. We all do. And yeah, you bet on yourself to do it. And then if you can't, you find your community and you be like, look, I'm struggling and I need you to help pick me up. That is a-okay as well, because guess what? Your trial and the tests that you go through then become your testimonies, and then you're able to use that to further somebody else along with yourself, as that trajectory is like going through the roof, because you will get through it. I'm a firm believer. But your investments of time and energy and money and emotions and all of that, take an inventory of that. Are you being drained? Are you finding yourself feeling less than? Are you feeling yourself burnt out? Because if you are, then it's time to turn that around. And yes, I know you can do it. So let's get on with it. It is only the second month of the year. We're done with those New Year resolutions, if that's what you said. We are now looking for, what are we doing for our lives to be better all the way around, and only getting better and better and better. Okay. So I just, think of the things that you want. Think of the things that are going to bring you joy and excitement, fulfillment, help you to thrive. Find those opportunities to do that. Invest in that. Invest in yourself. Don't be afraid to reach out to someone and ask the question. Don't be afraid or think, oh, that time has passed, because it's only too late when it's too late. You know what I'm saying? So while you have time and you're here, let's get after it. Bet on yourself. And if you can't, let me know. I will bet on you, and I will encourage you, and I will continue to try my best to inspire and motivate you, because I know that what you have in your heart's desire, you are meant to share that. You are meant to live that. So it's time, all right? So that is my challenge for you this week. Let's get after who we are, what we desire, how we need to get there. And then we're going to start talking about executing. Like I said, that's my word now, being disciplined and executing. So with that, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to go finish up my tea. If you're seeing me, get me some tea in to soothe my throat, continue to get better. I pray that if you're going through anything, take care of you. Take that time. I mean, even yesterday, really quick, my baby girl had gymnastics, and my husband was going to take her, and he couldn't take her, so he was like, can you take her? And I'm like, of course. Y'all, I had like a migraine, and I couldn't. And my boss was so gracious, was like, go home and rest. And I almost took that time to just go ahead and go take her, and I said, no. I'm going to listen to my body and listen to myself, because if I rest now, I can pour into her and my baby, the twins later, into my husband later. But I can't pour from an empty cup. So if that is you, I am challenging you with that as well, because this weather, if you're like us, it's all over the place. Don't know if you should wear a sweatshirt, if you should wear a tank top, which I have underneath here. But take care of yourself, and that self-care and that self-love. It's not selfish, and that's what we're getting into next week. So, have an amazing, amazing week. And thank you so much again for listening, for tuning in. Share it with a friend. Leave me a review. Hit me up with anything else you would like to hear about. And we're going to keep this moving. But most of all, bet on yourself. All right. I'll see you next week.